You can't
Sure,
get
God can
43
do that.
billion light years
Okay,
from
well,
6,000 year creation,
what
except to
forms the
say, I
universe?
believe in God and God did it that way.
Well, what you do is, I don't know how it happened. I don't know how it happened. So you're an I don't know of the gaps. I may be a
The
god
Big
of the
Bang
gaps.
model is extremely rigorous and well tested.
Go into cosmology.org and you're going to see a bunch of people that say doesn't work. They have to add, because when Danny Faulkner when he was in college in the 80s, they had 100% confidence in the Big Bang, and it didn't have inflation or dark matter or dark energy or string theory, and they had to add that to keep it from falling apart. And now they have 100% confidence in the Big Bang today, and he says it's not a matter of if it falls apart, it's a matter of when it falls apart, and would have fallen apart a long time ago, but they don't have anything to replace it with. And that's what I think the hydroplate will destroy the Big Bang. If anybody watches Kevin Lee's talk at Creation Forum, it destroys the Big Bang, because everything.
The hydroplate is a stupid flood narrative about geology. That's going to disprove cosmology.
Hey, why is the near side of the moon pounded and the far side isn't? The moon or the Earth protects the near side. How come we got the lava flows on the near side and not the far side? Why is the Pacific Ocean so much different than the other ones? What caused the Mariana Trench? You know, how did a mammoth freeze standing up? How come they find rounded boulders in asteroids?
And that tells us how old the universe is. A mammoth that was frozen.
Well, we can explain it. Can you?
No, you can't. You just say God did it.
No,
that's not an explanation.
Well, I'll explain it for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because the fountains of the Great Deep broke up with such tremendous force that some of the stuff went up into outer space. And
what evidence of that do you have?
The standing frozen mammoth. We also have accurate predictions.
You think that comets falling to the Earth, comets, you know that objects that re-enter Earth's atmosphere from space are going dozens of kilometers per second and explode when they hit the ground, right? But that's gonna freeze dry a mammoth.
Well, that's because they're coming in with such tremendous force. If they just go up there and then slowly come back, they're going to come down and they're going to freeze the mammoths. Okay, how about accurate predictions?
You have evidence that happened?
How about accurate predictions?
Do you have evidence that any of that happened?
Oh, yeah. Accurate predictions are evidence of a robust theory.
Do you have any evidence that comets slowly came down to the Earth?
I'm not talking comets. I'm talking the water that's shot up from the fountains of the Great Deep.
Sure, that. Do you have any evidence of that?
Yeah, the Mid-Oceanic Ridge. What do you think caused the mountain range? What do you think caused the mountain range to grow in two directions by stretching? Most mountain ranges are crushed together.
Magma comes up to the surface and reforms, and it's a divergent plate boundary.
Look at the tension cracks; they're straight.
Look at the ages of the oceanic crust, and notice that it makes a perfect pattern going outward. Anyways, we can't have a new debate within the debate here. People asked questions, but
the audience enjoyed the mini round 2. During the Q&A. We can call that the Great Comet / Hydroplate Theory Debate.
Half of the ocean was inside the Earth at one time, and then it erupted out, and now a lot of it went up into tremendous force, and and went into comets and asteroids, and that's why Kevin Lee is able to make accurate predictions, and NASA is wrong, and they're spending millions of dollars wasting it because they think asteroids are solid, and they're actually floating rock piles. And that's how we get peanut-shaped asteroids. That's how we get contact binaries and moons and asteroids with moons. They thought that was impossible in the 70s, and now they keep finding them everywhere. And the only thing that explains it is the hydroplate, and yet it's being kicked to the curb. And so that's where the water came from and where the water went.
Brian, thank you very much. Eric, over at Planet Peterson, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
The idea that asteroids in space can only be described by this hydroplate thing, this is so ridiculous. So Brian will get the last word, and here's what he's not going to do. Brian, give any evidence for your specific claim about most of the water was in the Earth and then it came out of the Earth. What specific evidence do you have that the water came out of the Earth? And then and Mount Everest wasn't as tall.
Serpentine.
What evidence of that do you have?
Okay, you want to sell? Well, it came up serpentine. They found that in asteroid Bennu, and that's just where the mantle touches the water, and they found that up in the comet. And then also the comets they thought they're making accurate predictions. Accurate predictions are the currency of science, and there's a whole bunch of them for the hydroplate. And Kevin Lee accurately predicted what they'd find in comets, and NASA was wrong. He accurately predicted what the structure of asteroids would be, and NASA was wrong. And so it's time to bring this theory into the fold and start discussing it. And yet the big bangers, they won't let it in the door. Oh no. Our way is the only way to think. So you have to think like us. That's because we're the scientists and we're the ones who messed up junk DNA and vestigial organs. But to keep
miracles
our word
aren't
for
science. Brian Lauer.
Keep our word for it. But no, I want people to be able to discuss things openly. I don't think ideas to be cast out. It's like if I had a chest of gold and I hid it and I'll give you all the grant money to find it, and I'll give it, and you can only look in your apartment building, but I hide it outside. You'll never find it. And that's what's happening today. God is the answer, but you won't look for him because it's not allowed. And I'm just saying, let the ideas go let people think wherever they go, and don't fire them for thinking differently. And I think that's as disgusting as it can be. You force people to think that your way is right. Your way is right, and it's the only way to think. And that's not science. That's indoctrination.
If plate tectonics are false, how are there mountains?
That's because during the hydroplate, the water was gushing up with such tremendous force, and these two cliffs, 60 miles high, were crumbling into the force, shooting them out. And the cliffs got wider and wider and wider. And then pretty soon there's nothing pushing down on the Atlantic Ocean and the mantle, and it bulges. So now you got North America and South America sliding to the west, and you got Africa and Europe sliding to the east, and they keep going until they meet resistance, and then they buckle up. And that's why the mountain ranges are pretty much parallel to the mid-oceanic ridge and mid-Atlantic ridge. And that's how we got the mountains. And then the mountains sink down and some has to rise up, and that's how we got the plateaus.
Thank you, Brian. Eric, floor is yours.
I shared my screen. Can we show that for a second?
Yes. There you go.
So what we find is when we mapped the ocean floor, we found all these mid-ocean ridges, and we call these divergent plate boundaries. And the idea is that over vast stretches of time, the continents have moved into their current positions. The continental puzzle works with that extremely well. The mid-ocean ridge works with that extremely well. Brian, I think what you need to reckon with is, why on earth is it that the radiometric dating of the ocean floor perfectly mirrors what you would expect? It's youngest at the mid-ocean ridge, and uniformly in both ways gets progressively older as you go away from it. That absolutely confirms the traditional secular narrative about plate tectonics being a long and drawn out process. So that'll be it.
Oh, keep the picture up there if you would. If you want to keep your picture up.
Because, I can do that.
Yeah. Because that picture, they use that Astro Alexandra. She did a thing on what they found on Bennu, and she used that picture, and she said that serpentine comes when the mantle touches the water, and they found that in Bennu, and she's thinking there's got to be this big water planet that used to be floating around, and she's just a victim of our government education, because she won't even consider that the water planet is Earth. And so, yeah, she used that picture. And it validates the hydroplate, because how else does it get out there? And anyhow.